So on day 25 in the Love book, 30 Days Challenge to Live Love, it says love is telling the truth, right? Love is telling the truth. And so although this seems very elementary in its essence, in fact, it is quite impactful and can be sometimes difficult to do, especially to tell the truth to someone that you love.
Because sometimes telling the truth to someone that you love, because you love them, you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want them to feel indifferent, or you don't want like a funky attitude in the room anymore, or you really sometimes just want to keep the peace. But really, are you really keeping the peace? Because when you don't tell the truth to the person that you love, there's an inner war that's going on inside of you that's not authentic, and you're being fake. So the truth is so detrimental in a love relationship.
Yeah, it's essential as well, because I mean the Bible tells us that to speak the truth in love. So really the only way you should tell anyone the truth is if you do it in love, or with the motive or the intent for them to feel loved or to be able to express love. Early on in our marriage, this was very a challenge for my wife and I. We love each other very much, but we didn't always like each other's behavior. Neither did we always meet or live up to each other's expectations. And so when we had to manage disappointments or manage failed expectations, we had to have a moment of truth. And we tried everything we could do to make the moment of truth like beautiful and the path of least resistance, from communicating like, how do you need to be told the truth?
Set an appointment.
Yeah, set an appointment, go on vacation, which was horrible for me, because like I'll be in a beautiful place and everything is set right, and I'm like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to have a non-confrontational moment, and yet my wife is like, I'm relaxing and enjoying everything, and now you want to bring up some situation, but it was just us trying to find out like the preferred way to communicate the truth, especially in a tight or a tough situation. As my wife said, suppressing the truth to somebody that you love is only going to make them feel less loved, because eventually you have these leaks, right? These leaks that start coming out of you that are no longer, you got an attitude, you're short-sighted, you're easily short-tempered, and it's because you're suppressing or holding something that you need to say that you're not saying. Yeah. And so it's like that became a challenge for us to not live suppressing or holding on to stuff that we need to say. So we had to figure out how to tell the truth. How to tell the truth in love, even if the truth hurts.
Or if the truth will kind of reveal something that you don't really want to see. And I think that sometimes people forget that when you're married to a person, you marry a person that will be a mirror of you. And sometimes when you're looking in the mirror, you don't always like what you see. And so your spouse is that mirror. Your spouse is the one that is to tell you some things that sometimes you don't want to hear, but they see it. And they should see it before anybody else sees it. Because to me, that's what love is. Love covers. So sometimes the cover is the truth. And then also when you speak the truth in love, people want to say, well, I'm speaking the truth in love, and they just say it harshly and they don't have any consideration in it. But when you speak the truth in love, you have to understand that road to speaking the truth, there has to be some relationship, there has to be some conversation, there has to be some easing into. You can't just abruptly talk about the truth and you haven't kind of made the way with love to speak the truth. So when you love somebody, you make sure that you're very calculated, you're very systematic, because it's a hard conversation and you want them to walk away with it. Because when you don't speak the truth in love, you get rebellion. You don't get what you really intend for it on the other side. Yeah,
and that's about making an investment. You must invest before you're able to say those hard things. And the truth is, the goal is to speak words with grace and affirmation, and the goal of us having this hard conversation is not to tear you down or to destroy you or to diminish you or to make you walk away with low self-esteem. It's actually to build you up. It just might not feel like that in the beginning. And so a lot of couples spend a lot of times living in these prisons where they feel like they can't tell their truth to their spouse, to say something challenging, or dig this, to reveal something that's a truth that they need to expose
Right.
out of their hearts, you know. And I used to say to my wife all the time, it's like, hey, I can't live in a prison. I have to be able to tell you the truth, whether it's popular about you or if it's something to reveal about me. And the key is, if your spouse reveals something that's true to them, to you,
Right.
what you can never do is you can never throw it back up in their face, and you can never use it against them. That is a violation of trust, and that will be so damaging in the long term of you building the continuity of being able to have tough conversations. So if your spouse is vulnerable with you and they tell you something in a moment of weakness, a vulnerability that reveals a truth that they needed to express to be their best self, you have to hear that truth, love them through it, and never use it against them. And so speaking the truth in love is not only about what you got to get off your chest to say to them about them. Sometimes speaking the truth in love is about what you need to say to them about you.